sometimes authors will come to us with kids' books, and they're not sure if kids' books make sense in audio, but I love kids' audiobooks, and I think that there's a great need for them. I was just talking with one of our other team members he lives in Mexico with his wife and their 5-year-old, um, and he was saying there's just not enough kids' audiobooks because you don't want them looking at the screen all the time, right? But they love hearing stories, and you can't always be reading stories to your kids. As fun as it is, there are other things that we grown-ups need to do. And there are also many adults who don't feel comfortable reading aloud to their kids because they don't feel comfortable. They're not confident with their own language skills, um, and so they just don't. Or maybe it's some other reason, but there are parents who don't. Maybe they just feel so stressed out they don't have time. So and then also like bedtime. My granddaughters were they were having a tough time for a period there where they just like did not want to go to bed, and so they had their my daughter and her husband. They're great parents. They're really consistent with their parenting. They have routines, but the kids just started going through this thing. I said, "Well, why don't I send you over some audiobooks? I'll read them some stories." And sure enough, that worked so that then then they could go to bed. Lights are out, and I read them very deliberately with the idea that now we're going to sleep. So I, started off, and then get a little quieter, a little slower, and then a quiet good night at the end. You know. Anyway, so there's a lot of great ways in which audiobooks can be great for kids. So sometimes the question that comes up is, well, what about the pictures? Obviously, most picture books are highly dependent on the pictures, but not always. So the best audiobooks for kids, I think, have text, as part of their story. There's sort of a natural, like it could be references to being outside or um, something that suggests sound effects. It could be the dogs barking, the cats meowing, the fireplace crackling, any number of things. But um, those are, I think, the easiest to do. Though we've done several others, and it's really then about finding music that that um, that fits the tone of the book and the story. Ah, yes, Melody, this is a great question. Can you do a kid's audiobook but not do that book in paperback or ebook form? Just do it in audio. Yes, you can. Now that Amplify Audiobooks is available, because on the other platforms, they do require that it be in some other format already. But we can do audio first. And yeah, because, one of the big expenses for audiobook or for kids' books is the cost of illustrations. That can be exorbitant and really hard, a big challenge. So, if any of you know authors who love to write children's stories but have been hesitant to, feel like the hurdle to get them into print is too vast, that audio is an option and it's much more cost effective. You can do a great kids book. One of the things that can make it really even more effective is if you have, because they're so short, is if you have do a bunch of them all at one time. That works out really well. And then Rob will get to you in a second. Can doing an audiobook with sound effects um, without partial moments of music, does that work? Yes, it absolutely does work. And that's where I think, even if you have a print book where you've got pictures, I kind of think of those are like the enhancements to the story. Well, in audio, we have sound effects and music that are enhancements to the story. So it's just shifting it out. And it can be for kids' books. They're short enough. You can do them on a CD if you want. Um, just keep in mind it's a fading technology, and you still have to package it, so I mean, you can make it people could potentially, if you want to send them an audio file, they can download it and just burn it, or you can burn it onto a CD, and if you have friends that you wanna do it that way, but I don't think it's generally worth the financial investment to get it all packaged up as a CD.